Why, hello there. How you doing? I get asked about this all the time, especially by young people. Yeah, I don't know what your definition of young is. I'm 51 years old. I gotta say, on a few of these, like I've failed on adequate exercise. You know, as a truth seeker, have this backwards. There you go. As a truth seeker, I always have to be brutally honest. If you can't be honest about yourself, and you claim to be someone that appreciates wisdom and truth, then you're really a hypocrite, aren't you? Well, yeah, you are, so I'll actually be brutally honest about myself on live stream. People say, don't say stuff like that. It's like, why? Why not? It's true. There's a couple of these things on life hacks and important life lessons. And some of these are about survival. And by the way, remember when I made that video a few days ago about the fact that I even said in the video several times, like 96 hours? Yeah? Said in the video, 96 hours. Well, it's started. I'll let you figure out what I'm referring to about it. It's started. It's already started. When I gave that 96-hour heads up, well, it's still Friday, and it's within 96 hours. It's like 84 hours or 80 hours or something like that. It's already kicking off, unfortunately. I just had to mention that, you know. So it's already started. Unfortunate. Some life hacks. Once again, I've failed at some of these, to be sure. Obviously so. A lot of older people, and I guess I am older, I'm 51 years old, and I've failed at this definitely, is that you need to enjoy your life, because none of this garbage, none of these toys that you think you like, you know, they're not going to stick it in a tomb with you when you leave this world. You were never in this world anyway. You thought you were in this world. You thought you were the broadcast imagining itself as the radio, like when you're brushing your teeth in the mirror there, you know, but you're not, so... like a few hours or a day before someone passes away, there's like, what are the big regrets? And this is documented. I mean, I already know that at the age of 51. I mean, I even knew that a decade ago. You need to, it's like, what did you get wrong in your life? What do you wish that you should have done that you didn't do? I worked too hard and I didn't enjoy life, a lot of people say. There's nothing wrong with working, you know, really hard to support your family and your children, obviously, but I don't have, you know, a family or any children. But, you know, just like take some time out and, you know, enjoy life. An unexamined life, as the old saying goes, is not one worth being in. I mean, so that's a huge mistake. Here's an important one, and it's something that I never heard from anybody, but have found it so incredibly valuable, is that if you can find something that you know you'll only ever need one of for the rest of your life, unless you lose it or it gets stolen, you should pursue that. Something you use on a daily basis. And it can be expensive items. I wouldn't say like titanium forks and spoons. I have those. That's all I've ever used now for like 15 plus years. I'll never need another one unless I lose it. I accidentally threw them in the trash once. I had to dig them out of the trash and clean them. But if you can only get one of them for the rest of your life, whatever that one thing is. I wish we could do cars like that. It's the reason why I'll never buy anything other than a Toyota. No vehicle lasts forever, but I got a Tacoma and I've got a super, super extended warranty on it. It's not going to last forever. But I have a platinum warranty for many, many years in the future, and you know, I'm sorry, I don't care what you think about Ford, Chevy, or GM, but I mean, they're trash compared to a Toyota. Tacoma, for example. My most favorite one's a RAV4. These last a lot longer, and truth is that people think that rich people drive around Lambos and Porsches, and some of them do. But there was a big survey done on this, and it turns out, and I'm the furthest thing from wealthy, by the way, that rich people, and I know a few rich people, and they all have Toyotas. Here's a big lesson. Whatever you can do to not rent, don't rent. It's literally flushing your money down the toilet. Some people feel like they don't have any other option than renting, but I can't imagine a more greater self-destructive endeavor, other than being fat and out of shape, right? Than renting. Something that people don't consider, but they should, is that you should shun, literally shun them, sophists and relativists, people that, there's an ancient Pali phrase, and they called them eel wrigglers, like when you grabbed an eel out of the river or the creek, it would, squirm back and forth, it would never stay in place. Kind of like Jello. You say you can't nail Jello to the wall. You can't, pin somebody on something because they're like Jello. They're sophists and relativists. If you can actually shun those, whatever you shun or don't shun, of course, is none of my business, but it makes life a whole lot easier. Life is miserable and full of enough suffering as it is. Growing up, if you want to make your life easier, and life should be easier, you shouldn't surround yourself with fools, but specifically sophists and relativists. What you should do, I've failed at this and succeeded at it, is to chase your dreams and not chase after money. I don't know of anybody. I know some really rich, miserable people. They've done nothing but chase after money, and they've got it. The only times I wished I had money is to have time. That's the only reason why anybody should care about money, is to have time, for buying time. When you're young, too, by the way, you think there's too much time, and time just goes so slowly. Everybody basically says this. When you get older, you're trying to make money so you could buy back time because you misspent it in your youth. And this, of course, is the reason why we say that youth is wasted on the young. It's all about time. You see how much very little bit of time that you actually have, and you're trying to buy it back from when you wasted it when you were younger. There's only two things that anybody, doesn't matter if they're rich or poor, young or old, has in life, and that's all we have, is time and energy. Yes, I know time ultimately doesn't exist. It exists conventionally, but not ultimately. But we only have so much time and so much energy, and we need to wisely choose how we spend that time and energy. They say when you wrestle with a pig, you both get dirty, but the pig likes it. So if you waste your energy, which is wasting energy and time, with intellectual pigs in life, dare I say it, but it's so true, you're doing yourself. We all have to pick our battles, as the old saying goes, and I've certainly picked mine in life on things that I've conquered, especially nihilism in original Buddhism, understanding the nature of magnetism, which I'm very proud of the fact that I've written many books and countless articles, and I'm working on books and articles currently, of course, that I've taken one of the great mysteries of the universe, and I don't say it egotistically, that I've conquered that and I actually understand what it is. I understand it fully. Back on track here. Don't work for other people. They don't care about you at all. I don't care how small the company is. By the way, the bigger it is, the more likely it is they 100% don't care about you, as opposed to a small company which 99% doesn't care about you. The sooner that you can get away from working for other people, because they don't care about you and they'll try to destroy your life financially and otherwise, get away from that. Even the best job, they couldn't care. Like, I've seen it so many times. I will never ever give my love towards any company, and I failed at that in a few instances of life. I mean, I freely admit it. As a truth seeker and somebody that actually loves wisdom, I will fully admit that I've failed at that. I mean, look at Fujifilm. I've made that company countless, literally millions and millions of dollars, and they totally did me dirty. I mean, Fujifilm did me big time dirty. I mean, just think about that for a second. Next time you go to your little dead-end job at a big company or a small company, it is a dead end. It is just, I'm sorry, it's a dead-end job. I made that company countless millions of dollars, and they did me hardcore dirty, as if I were like making videos going after their cameras. I mean, it's just a perfect example, by the way. So don't work for other people. And you need to realize too that the number of people without an agenda, either for your friendship or doing things with you or for you, is nearly zero. It's not totally zero, but it approaches absolute zero. I mean, that's something you really should learn early in life. Make your money. This is the biggest lesson that people really screwed up on, and I've screwed up on this big time too. Nowhere near as much as most people, but I mean, everybody works so hard, to get X amount of money to pay the bills, of course, but then they'll spend that money on some sort of gadget or doodad that's not worth anything, within a short period of time, even if it's still working. A great example, of course, is a computer. If you're making money with it, that's fine. It's a tool. But you're supposed to treat every dollar that you have like it's your little worker minion, those little single-eyed minion guys. I never watched that goofy movie, but I know what the minions are. And that's the one lesson that none of us were taught in high school or college. I hope you were taught that by your parents. I myself was not. I've done way better on that front than most people, but I still failed at it epically, basically the same as everybody else. Thankfully, I don't want anything anymore other than having a roof over my head to pay the friggin' bills. I have land. I still struggle to pay the bills. I mean, I had a $256 house insurance bill today. I mean, it's just endlessly. It's house insurance, car insurance, property taxes, regular taxes, gas, water, electric, phone, cable, cell, regular gas you put in the car, food. It's just endless. And I don't ever go anywhere or do anything. I don't ever eat out. I still don't have any money. So on that front, I've definitely failed, just undeniably so. Here's an important one that you should have been taught, and I know you weren't taught, because nothing important is ever taught in school, because school is counterproductive. It's the opposite of an education. It's actually indoctrination and propaganda. They're like, instead of drilling for oil, they're drilling your brain to fill it full of garbage. Greed, hate, and envy will absolutely roast your soul. Drop it. Never ever did anybody any good. It is noble to despise what is pure evil. And in this upside down world that we live in, and man, it is hardcore upside down. I mean, it's bad upside down world that we live in. People are, man, there's so much evil in the world, and people are so confused. People don't get that, like, if you despise, you love natural order and you have some wisdom or a lot of wisdom, you genuinely seethe, I don't know if you know what seething means, seethe against evil. People say, well, you're just a hater. It's like, yeah, you're right, that's pure evil, and I do despise it, and that is what makes that part of me noble. Some people think, you can't hate anything, you just got to accept it for what it is. That sort of moral relativism is disgusting, it's ignoble, and unfortunately people really suffer from that today. If it's evil, it's evil. There's nothing wrong in calling something what it is. It's like, there's a pile of poo, it stinks, it's rancid, it's full of maggots, it's filth. I despise the filth on the sidewalk there, like some steaming pile of whatever. Like, oh no, you shouldn't be like that. That's nature, it feeds nature. It's like, well, yes it is, but I still despise it because it is, by definition, foul and reprehensible. So, anyway, but people generate their own greed, hate, and envy. It's kind of like this fire, which of course is fake. It burns up their soul. And unless people drop it, what it'll do is it'll just end up eating you alive. There's a bunch of other emotions that eat people up, fear, regret, and trepidation. Envy, I mean, all of this stuff burns people up, and people have no idea that all of that stuff, you sit by the riverbank, as the old saying goes, long enough, you'll see the body of your enemy float by in the river, and that's true, and what that really means is that, burning yourself alive over, evil or any type of hatred, greed, or envy is not going to do you any good. Evil people, by the way, this is another one, burn themselves up. They always have, they always will. If they have a love or proclivity towards evil, either knowingly or unknowingly, these people will burn themselves up. Don't try to heap gasoline upon the fire of evil. Not literally heap it on, but I mean, don't heap it on. They need to be shunned and pointed out for what it is, but, these people will, necessitatively, as natural order and metaphysics dictates it must, these people burn themselves, by means of their greed, hatred, and envy, and so there's no need to help them. Don't try to accelerate it. Let the fire take care of itself. Government taxes you. Here's an important point. Government taxes you just to the point that you could barely survive. You're so stressed out, worn out, and miserable. And I'm not saying to do spooky things regarding what you owe, but there's a reason why mega-rich people, some of them don't pay any taxes at all. They have really high-end lawyers, tax lawyers, that teach them about trusts and there's all sorts of neat things. And I was not taught that growing up, so I've failed at that as well, but I know a lot of the things that you can do. Like if you have a cemetery on your land, you can get out of paying taxes. Depends, that varies from state to state, by the way. Here's an important one I keep harping on, and people either do listen or don't listen, and that school is absolutely public school, including private schools, really, for the most part. Schools are pure evil. Get out of it before it bleaches the desire and will out of your spirit to grow and explore, because that's what it does. It completely bleaches it out of a inquisitive mind to know and learn. I made sure it didn't get bleached out of me, because I just ignored my teachers because I knew what fools they fundamentally were, and they were fools. And get out of school. Just get out of it. School is to make compliant little apes. They can add and write and pay taxes. That's all school is. Indoctrination, propaganda, brainwashing. They bleach out a true education out of you. It's not education at all. It's just making compliant little apes. They can add and subtract and, pay their taxes. And that's not an education. The biggest boon I could tell anybody to do, and people have no idea, I've never heard anybody talk about this, is learning fallacies. There's fundamentally about 150 fallacies. If you learn what these 150 fallacies are and are able to identify them, learning about fallacies and reading, I'll get on this in a second, the primary books. Learn about fallacies and identifying them. There is nothing. It will help you more than 1,000 people telling you and teaching you things and a master's degree on top of it like a cherry. There is nothing that is more helpful you're never too old to learn. It's like learning all the hidden booby traps and pitfalls in life and the way people lie and scam and cheat and crook, and the people make bandwagon fallacies, ad hominems, or say, I'm not going to debate you. Straw man fallacies, this fallacy, that. There's only about 150. None of you, even if you took debate class in college, none of you learned those. Almost none of you. Basically 99.9% of you didn't learn that. If your kids could learn about fallacies, oh man, they'll dominate everything that they do in life. They'll identify the lies, the nonsense, the garbage. I'm not going to debate. That's a good one. That's a favorite one of mine. I'm not going to debate with you. What they're basically saying, as a translation to that, is everything you said is valid and I have nothing to counter it. I'm not going to debate you because I can't. That's really what they're saying. They don't say that. I'm not going to debate you. But they should finish it off, but they leave it off. Because they know it. Because you can't. Everything I said is valid, empirical, demonstrable, it's logical, it's reasonable, and everything that you think has no basis in fact. There's nothing to back it up. There's no substantiation. There's a great word everybody should learn. Where's your substantiation? Everybody should say that to people that, I don't believe it. So where's your substantiation? Okay, I get it that you don't understand it or believe it. But where's your substantiation? I see nothing. I presented facts, logic, and evidences. Boom, boom, boom. And you presented nothing. I can't stress enough. Please, God, teach your children and yourself about fallacies. You could download like the top 100, 150 fallacies. You learn them, all of them. Nothing will help you more in life, unless you win the lottery and you're able to retire in ease. That would be more helpful. But other than winning the lottery, nothing would help you more. Also, too, way better than a master's degree or anything else is reading and learning. And I've got the link below in the description. 10 primary books will help you more than 1,000 people and 2 master's degrees. If you slowly read like the Petaphesian and the Enneads of Plotinus, man, if you could read it in the Greek, even better. You know, Plato, Aristotle, the wisest minds who ever lived throughout history, they only read a few things. Plato, Aristotle, Iamblichus, Proclus. There's really only fundamentally 10 primary things. You can take your pick out of basically 20 of them. These people didn't need to study. I got nothing against studying. Nobody studies more than I do. You know, multiple guest tests. I got a test tomorrow. I need to go home and memorize this trash. I'm never going to use it again, but I need to get an A on the test so I can get into a college where, oh God. Anyway, avoid people that are emotional and are plagued with drama. These people are a plague. Emotional and drama-based people, in other words, the center of their spirit is emotions and drama. These people are a plague. They are a lead anchor around your neck. Do whatever you want, okay? I'm telling you right now, get away from these people, always. Here's something else on that same front. Because empty vessels make the loudest noise. You know, a drum is empty, right? Make loud noise, a drum, it's empty. Rich neighborhoods are quiet and silent and nice, and you ever notice the poor ones are super noisy? There's just tons of racket and police sirens, and you know, someone OD'd, and then there's an ambulance siren, and you could hear the neighbor across the street, you know, having a fisticuffs in the front yard. Have you ever thought about why rich neighborhoods are quiet and poor neighborhoods are noisy? Ignorance itself is extremely noisy. Look at me, look at me, look at me! Deep waters are silent. Shallow waters, like rapids, are noisy and full of drama. Yeah. Deep waters that are silent and quiet are not exciting. You know, some people enjoy a little bit of drama and action, and then they go ride the rapids, which are by definition, of course, shallow waters. Yeah? Have you ever thought about that? Why is it that rich neighborhoods are silent and poor ones are noisy? The answer is really simple. By the way, there's a video. I wish I saved the video. This guy is between 2 high-rises. Like over here is like where all the po folk live, right? Yep, I'm making fun of po folk, right? Over here, over here is the po folk. It's like 3 a.m. Or is it 5 a.m.? I think it might be 5 or 6 a.m. And all the po folk, there's no lights on. There's like 100 apartments, and you can see all the lights are off. Everybody's asleep. The po folk apartment con. Over here is across the river is where all these large luxury $1 million condos where the rich folk are. It's the same time. It just pans from left to right. And like more than half of the rich folk have got their lights on because they're up way before the crack of dawn, crushing it on, you know, how to move mountains before the sun rises. Man, that is a life lesson I've not heard anybody ever talk about. And it's just this video. It's like, oh, here's where all the po folk are at. All the lights are off. There's not a single light on. Pans over. Whoop. More than half the lights are on. And that should really tell you something. Here's an important one if you don't know it. The government is not your friend. They are your adversary, period. They're running what they're doing is running a 2-legged cattle farm, or sheep farm, if you will. Moo! Moo! Let me repeat that again because it's so important. If you haven't learned this lesson in life, the government is your adversary. They are running a 2-legged cattle farm. You're the 2-legged cattle, by the way. Here's a huge one people need to recognize, and they don't. There's a guy on the internet that talks about how what a god he is of fixing computers. Like, Apple said that this needed an $800 motherboard, but I fixed it with a 60-cent resistor. He's sitting there with a microscope. He's got mad skills. There's no denying it. He's sitting there with a microscope at like 24 power, desoldering, which, you know, the little resistor is about the size of a skeeter. He still charges a few $100s, actually, as I recall, for that service. You're like, yeah, you replaced the 30-cent resistor, but you still charge a couple $100 for your labor, because, you know, he does have mad skills. So you can have, and this is a lot of people are guilty of this, and nobody recognizes, they don't teach you about this in school or college, correct facts. All those facts he says are correct, and you see this out in the world. But the conclusion or the story is wrong. This is where you can really, this is where you have to learn about fallacies. This is where you can mind bend people. You get them to do things. You could tell them a bunch of facts. Boom, 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 boom. Well, although that's true, I confirmed it. And then make a conclusion or tell a story based upon those true facts that is completely incorrect. Quantum and relativity does this big time. Like, we've measured the electrovolts in the Large Hadron Collider, and this is what's going on. It's like, well, no, you measured it, and your observations are demonstrable and objective, but your conclusions and your story is wrong. Man, it's such a huge one, and like nobody gets it. Well, his facts are right, therefore its conclusion must be true. Wrong! By the way, my doctor, who lives in London, Kentucky, she's got a 40-acre farm. She moved there from Utah. She just got, it was at a government auction, a tiny home for $1,000. It was $1,500 delivery. So $1,500 plus $1,000 for the tiny home. And it's got roughed-in plumbing and everything. Cool. Very awesome. Metal roof, siding. $1,500 delivery, so $2,500 total. She got a tiny home delivered for $2,500. Next time you talk about paying rent and whatever, think about my doctor who just got a $2,500 tiny home. Her farm is a little over 40 acres. Very cheap per acre that she bought it for. Now she got a tiny home. How much did her home cost? Let me repeat it again. Delivered, $2,500. Next time you talk about, well, I can't afford anything but rent, $2,500 for her house delivered. Is it a tiny home? Yes, it is, but you can build onto it. This is the most important one to me anyway. Become as sovereign as possible. Please, God, let me repeat that again. Become as sovereign as possible. Eliminate as much nonsense and caca out of your life as possible. When you have land, you have free heating. You have a wood stove, you got free heating, unless your land is completely barren of trees. I have free heating forever and free water forever. Here's the last one, actually. If you're in college, there is a 99.9% chance that you suffer from pseudo-intellectualism. Pseudo-intellectualism. You're suffering from groupthink and knee-jerk emotional activism, and you think because you're in college you know something. And I've been in college for many years. I regret going there at all. But let me tell you what. You don't know anything. If you're in college, you're planning on going to college, and I know stuff, I'm in college, carry on these big, thick books written by professors. Yeehaw! You're an activist. And you got this knee-jerk emotional activism going on, and you got groupthink going on. You don't know anything. Your mind is not geared towards the dialectic or anything of higher intelligence. Yeah. You're suffering from pseudo-intellectualism. Thank you very much. I hope you like these videos. If you do, any donation is always very warmly welcome. That's in the description below. Or you can email me. Tell me how much you don't like the video, but I really would appreciate, because like my donations have died up like 99%, because I know everybody's suffering, and so am I. But I greatly appreciate anything. Even if it's $1, I greatly appreciate it. But nothing is required, of course. Thank you so much for watching. Lux Veritas. Pseudo-intellectualism.